Hi, this is Mrs. May. Today we are going to be looking at multiplying rational numbers. You know them better not as whole numbers like on this screen, but as fractions. We also know rational numbers include decimals, but today we're going to be talking about how to properly multiply fractions. So as you look at 1/2 times 3/4, remember the simple rule is to multiply straight across, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So in this case, we've got 1 times 3, which is 3. 2 times 4 is 8. So you end up with a new fraction of 3/8. Is that in simplest form? The easiest way to know if it's in simplest form is to know if the greatest common factor is 1. If the greatest common factor is 1, you're done. As you look at the number 3 and you look at the number 8, the factors for 3 is 1 and 3. The factors for 8 is 1, 2, 4, and 8. The only number that they have in common is this 1. That makes the greatest common factor equal to 1. And remember what I said, if the greatest common factor is 1, you're done. As you look at your second example problem, we have 2 times 2. Remember, you're just multiplying straight across, which is 4, and 3 times 5, which is 15. Looking for common factors, we've got 1, 2, and 4 are your factors of 4. And 1, 3, 5, and 15 are your factors for 15. Again, the greatest common factor is 1. That means they can't be divided by anything other than 1, so you are done. So our rule, multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Make sure the answer is in simplest form, so put that in your notes so that you have this. We'll do a couple more problems here. We've got 8/9 times 3/4. There's a couple of different, there's just some quick rules I want to go over with you in case you learned these before. It makes your life a little bit easier. I'm going to show you some shortcuts. We have a common factor with 9 and 3. And that common factor is 3. So we could divide each of these by 3, giving you a 1 here. 9 divided by 3 is 3. We also, as you look crossways at 8 and 4, we have common factors here, not only just 2, but the number 4. So we can divide by 4, divide by 4 here. We could simply multiply straight across now. We've got 2 times 1 and 3 times 1. You have a simplified answer of 2/3. The only common factors for 2 and 3 is 1, so if your greatest common factor is 1, you're done. Now you can still do it the other way of multiplying straight across without looking for what I would call those shortcuts. You would end up with 8 times 3 is 24, 9 times 4 is 36, and then listing the factors for 24 and 36, that's going to be quite lengthy. As you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, 24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, 24. Takes a while to list all those, and if you're not as fast at multiplication as I am, it takes you a little bit longer than even me. So as you see, our greatest common factor is 12. You divide by 12, and I'm going to erase these lines here so you don't have that. When you divide by 12, you still end up with 2/3. That was our original answer the first time. But if you see these shortcuts and you look for these common factors here, these are much smaller numbers, much easier to find a greatest common factor and do that division instead of here, but do it in your problem. That's why I call it a shortcut, because it takes a lot less time to figure it out in the original problem. As we look at letter B, sample B here, we've got -3/5 times 7/9. And again, looking for a shortcut, as we look at 5 and 7, they have nothing in common other than 1. We have the factors for 5 and 7, 1 and 5, and 1 and 7. So there's nothing we can do there, but we can with 3 and 9. Remember, we have a greatest common factor of 3 for 3 and 9, so we can take this 3 and divide it by 3, which will give you a 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Notice this negative sign, though. We've got negative 1/5 times 7 thirds. So we've got a 1 times 7, which is 7. A 5 times 3, which is 15. We've got a negative times a positive, and when we did integers, remember, when you have opposite signs, that's going to give you a negative answer. So we end up with negative 7/15. Greatest common factor is 1, so you're done. What happens when it's a mixed number? Well, here's what we need to do. So make sure that you write this into your notes. You got to change the mixed number to an improper fraction, then multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators just like we've been doing. So real quick, to go from 1.5 to a mixed number, you go 1, this 1, times 2, which is 2, plus the numerator. So you've got 1 times 2 plus 1 is 3. Oops. So 3/2 is the same as 1 1/2. Multiply that by 1 2/3. We've got 1 times 3, which is 3, plus 2 is 5. Gives you a numerator of 5, denominator of 3. Again, we're looking at the whole number times the denominator, add the numerator, and then your denominator stays the same. As you're looking, we've got 3/2 times 5/3. This is a really easy way to find a shortcut because we've got a 3 and a 3. Those can be crossed out. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. We now have 1 times 5, 2 times 1. 5/2 is not in simplest form because it's an improper fraction. So you need to change this into a mixed number. 2 goes into 5 2 times with 1 left over. Denominator remains the same. 5/2 is the same as 2 1/2. 2 1/2 is in simplest form because 1/2 is in simplest form. Looking at letter E, we've got 5/7. That's already a fraction. Don't have to do anything with that. We've got 1 3/5. Need to change it into an improper fraction. Take your whole number times your denominator. So we've got 1 times 5. Add the numerator. 1 times 5 is 5, plus the 3 is 8. Denominator stays the same of 5. So 1 3/5 gets transformed into the improper fraction 8/5. Again, I see another shortcut here. Nice. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Multiplying straight across. 1 times 8 is 8. 7 times 1 is 7. Again, this is an improper fraction, 8/7. 7 goes into 8 once, 1 left over, denominator stays the same. So instead of 8/7, it turns out to be the mixed number 1 1/7. Here are your example problems that I want you to do for next time. And I'm going to rewrite these in a more familiar format. When I type these out, they're a little difficult to write as a numerator denominator. But it is 1/3 times 2/5, and the other problem 3/4 times 1 1/2. So on the first problem, I'm going to get rid of that for you. It's not going away. We've got 1/3 times 2/5. They're already fractions. Again, you would just multiply straight across and make sure your answer is in simplest form. And then 3/4 times 1 1/2. You need to change that 1 1/2 into an improper fraction first and then do your multiplication. So we will look at these the next time we're in class.